Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome to another episode of the Hog Talk Podcast, presented to you by FanDuel, live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe in Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on 106.7 Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All our shows are coming to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I am Porter Hayes. Alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And on tonight's show, we will talk about the meltdown in Memphis, possible coaching changes per se, and look at Notre Dame. But before we get started, we're having some weather issues here in the River Valley right now. So if we kind of cut in, cut out, just stick with us on that. We'll come to you back. We'll come back to you as soon as possible. But Adam, kind of like the weather game yesterday was pretty crappy.
Oh, you start off hot. You start off on the right foot, that opening drive, which is what we've said they needed to do. You go into halftime, you score 28 points, and then you score 3 more points the rest of the game. I don't know what to make of this at all. I mean, it's one of those that, we talk about the defense in this game in particular. We can talk about the offense in the second half. I know some folks want, Bobby Petrino in on our video that we made and posted on the clean house, but I look at it that the offense has done a hell of a lot more than the defense has. The offense has, been in the top 5, top 10 in multiple categories. The defense has been below par since Travis Williams got here.
Uh-huh.
And this has been a common theme, like we talked about in the last show. You had to look at Dan Enos when it was time to go, which he should have never been here to begin with. Let's be clear on that. When Kendall Briles flirting around, it was time for him to go. When Barry Odom, it's time for him to go. It's one of those things that it's time to shake things up. We've changed these coordinators. We've changed these various coaches. There's one common denominator here. 2, if you want to include the athletic director. So I'm just at a loss for yesterday.
Oh, I'm with you. We can include the athletic director. I mean, he's getting ripped just like everybody else. He comes out and makes those comments. Then, we play that, and then your team performs the way they do. I know this is where me not being a full-fledged Razorback fan, my rose-colored glasses can stay off for a minute, because the automatic look at is Bobby Petrino. He is a great offensive coordinator. Let him do that. I don't want him ahead of the whole football team. He is amazing at what he does. And to be honest, Adam, if you had half of a defense, this would be great right now. Sam Pittman could be the head guy. You have a competent defensive coordinator that gets your defense in the right positions, right angles. They give a damn. They make tackles. It's on coaching. And, other than there's a lot of people talking about the fumble. I'll go to one before that. Taylor Green getting that sack, or getting his, tripping over his own feet and taking that 3rd and long. You can't do that. If you're a Heisman caliber quarterback, you can't look down at a defender and throw it right at him. On a 3rd down, you can't. Your instinct. It was what I said at the beginning of the year. When he sees pressure, a lot of the times he automatically goes to his feet. He scrambled, spun around, tripped over his own feet. You can't do that in that position. And, the offensive line, and you can't score. I mean, what does it say as a whole for Bobby Petrino? Not saying he should go or he should be fired, but what does that say about the adjustment of you should be able to pick up the other team's adjustments on you? 3 points in the second half. If you're that high potent of an offense, you should be able to keep it going. I don't know who's to blame for that. But Bobby, I don't want him in control of the whole team. He's an offensive coordinator. That does not transition to, you don't want him running the offense, and now he's got to worry about the whole team, defense, head coaching, and all that. I don't think he wants that. And I don't think, in the grand scheme of it, I don't think Razorback fans want that, because it's going to lead to who's going to be overseeing him. And if he just wants to be the offensive coordinator and call the offense, now he's got all these other duties on his plate. And your one lone shining spot of this team will be watered down because he's got more responsibilities now.
It's one of those that if they're going to make a change and say that it was Bobby that took over as interim coach, hell, I mean, let's just shuffle all the things up and make a phone call out to North Carolina and bring back Garrick McGee because he's the wide receivers coach over there to let him run the offense.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get back the whole gang. I don't, it's one of those that we knew coming into this. It had been said that Petrino did not want to be a head coach. And so even still with like the talk of the hot seat and this and that, and it's like, okay, so say you had to let go of Pittman mid-season, everybody was on board with it being Travis Williams taking the interim spot.
Yeah.
But now it's to the point where can you do that? I don't think you can because I think he's in this boat. But sadly, and I say sadly, it's one of those things, though, that if you're Sam Pittman, if you're Hunter Yurachek or whatever, are you going to try to move on from Travis Williams and then go for another game or two and then make a decision on Sam Pittman? Or do you just go ahead and bite the bullet? I mean, you can't get rid of both, I wouldn't think, unless, we do have, Wilson. He was brought in as the co-defensive coordinator originally, and I don't think that's ever truly been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was title only because, we were going to have these co-DCs, but now it's just, put as Travis Williams. I don't know what the move is. Because I've always been against the mid-season firings of a head coach, but at this point, I mean, I feel like we're staring down the barrel of 2-10.
Yeah. Where I get stuck is I said you don't want him controlling the whole team, but like this is an interim thing where, all right, Bobby, look, just ride the ship out this year. We just want you to fill in until we can get somebody in. And he agrees to that. It can't get any worse. It really can't. I mean, let's look at the remaining games. Then that I see, because you really got to get ahead of, do you want Bobby running your whole team, or do you want to try to get an early start on what's going to happen in Napier? What other college teams are going to need head coaches next year? This is why I kind of advocated for last year. Do we really want to get in that boat of now see what we got, and now look what we're dealing with? We had so many sunshine pumpers, that select media that we talk about, 9 wins, 8 wins. Then how quickly some of these people jump off that fence, how quickly now they're turning on it and writing articles about this is unacceptable. When you were one of the ones that, this is going to be the best offense ever. I got them going 8 wins. We had them 5-7. Now, I mean, that might be too much. We don't know. But when you're looking at the coaching search, here, just my honest opinion, Gruden, no. He is going to come rob you just like everybody else. He is not a good college football coach. He's a 500 coach. You need somebody to come in and wants to take the reins of this thing and build a program. Mm-hmm. Dabo, another name that's just floating around. Goodness gracious, no, I'm done with him at Clemson.
I got asked about that last night.
No,
what I thought of it, and I said absolutely not, because again, you've got a guy that since NIL and transfer portal that has been adamant on not changing his ways, not accepting it. This is the way college football. You can see it passing him up because he won't change. I'm throwing my name in the hat, or name whatever. Glenn Schumann, Georgia's defensive coordinator. He's 35 years old. I mean, right now, defense in the SEC is suspect. But at the same time, it's something that it's a name I don't feel like is thrown out there as much. But I know Arkansas Sidelines has posted it throughout time. And I fully agree. And it's a name that's a little bit outside of the box. You still have people that think that we need to bring in Matt Campbell. I'm not so sure about that anymore. Just it's one of those things that I thought I threw around his name before Sam Pittman, but then seeing, he has great games, but then he has games like against Arkansas State where you struggle, and then Arkansas State goes out and loses to Kennesaw State, and I just have to question how good your team really is. But at the same time, Iowa State's been in a better position since he's been there than Arkansas's been since anybody's been here in the past decade. So who really knows? But the John Grudens and such, I don't think it's gonna happen, and I think it's just something that keeps us occupied or keeps us talking, or maybe it's one of those things that because John Tyson went out and spent money on John Calipari, we think that we can go get an equally big name in football, and I don't see it happening. I see it bringing media attention. I just don't know how it translates.
Answer this question, no. No, that's not going to happen. In-state quarterback, 26, no, it's not going to happen.
I think that
that is a slap in the face.
That picture was
Kane
posted.
Archer and his family.
Yeah,
that you lose your commitments and now you want to go after him. Mm-hmm. That to me is a disrespectful thing, and I understand they should have went from him from the get-go. Mm-hmm. But that is disrespectful for now. Kane Archer needs to come to Arkansas now. Well, Bobby don't want him. I mean, that's all there is to it, people. Bobby don't want him. He don't fit his style. It's not gonna happen.
Well, at the same time that Lockett posted that tweet of Kane Archer and Sam Pittman or whatever, the very next day there's a whole article on Kane's future at UCF. So it's one of those that it was just I don't see it happening.
Go read Best of Arkansas Sports' article. They talked to Kane Archer's dad. He is happy of where he is going, and people, let's look. What's going on in Arkansas right now? What kid wants to come to Arkansas right now? Who wants to come to Arkansas right now? And then that's the way it is. But when you need, it was funny. You're talking about a name. What about the coach that is proven he can win in a Power 4, Power 5 games? What about Memphis's coach? I don't know, but I just think it's going to take somebody who the board of trustees, your boosters, you're going to have to get somebody that is a good coach, and your boosters are willing to pay to bring people in. It's been done at Indiana, Illinois, Vanderbilt. They're doing it at Texas Tech. Find somebody that you can rally your troops, get money in here, get Hunter out of here because he don't care about football and bringing in money. Money's not the only thing. You got to have somebody come in here and change this thing around. But you need, again, yes, we're being a little funny with our video, but to me, it's true. You need to clean house. Bring in a new AD. Bring in somebody, because you're the only program in this state, big program, and you can't even get somebody to sponsor your football stadium. Huge alarm.
And we've talked about this previously. The DJ Williams interview, and two of the top in-state players that laughed at it, basically said things would have to change. Yeah. And that's kind of where it's at. And the Dan Lanning stuff, yeah, obviously it would be great, but why? I've got buddies that are betting on Oregon to win the national championship. So it's one of those that in the day and age with the college football playoff and the expansion of it and whatnot, you don't have to come to the SEC anymore. So it's not as big of a deal. It's not, you can't throw that around anymore of, hey, the only way to get to the national championship is through the SEC. It's not like that anymore. So why would you go to, and I'm not going to say top conference because I'm going to kind of put that up there with the Big Ten right now, one of the top two conferences. Why would you go there if you didn't have to get to the college football playoff? Yeah. Unless it's just your pride that you want to go prove something.
Well, he's proven that he wants to beat the SEC. He's Big 12. He's a Big 12 guy or a Big 10 guy, and he's got Nike. Why would you leave? You're set. And this is no disrespect. It wouldn't be a lateral move. And I'm saying even if Arkansas was the height of their program and what they could offer money-wise, you have Nike in your backyard. Why not? That would be, he's not going to do it. There's just a lot of names that are thrown around, and Dabo was another one. But the fact that I'm telling my Clemson people, and I got crushed last year for saying they move on, because you know what? Clemson's going to be Arkansas here in 3 years if they don't sit there and they keep letting this happen, because you watch their offense, they're horrible. Defense has not been the same since Venable's been there. He doesn't embrace the NIL. He whines and plays this victim card. It worked in 2015 when you were trying to get to the top. It's easy to get to the top when you have your chip on your shoulder, but when you get there and trying to stay there, that's why 3 years ago I said I respected Nick Saban and what he did so much, because it's so much harder to stay at the top, even harder now. He would come rob you blind. It's going to take somebody that wants to come in and make a change, embraces the transfer portal, that you can change some of these people's minds, Walmart, Tyson, or Hunts, or whoever, to give money to the football program. Because let's be honest, Sam and Hunter in this la-la land of rev share is going to change everything. It's not. You're going to be stuck with 16 million while everybody else is playing with 40 million, and it's only going to go up. So when we say clean house, we need to clean house.
I'm looking something up right quick. And, and I totally get the we're here. Arkansas football needs an NFL experienced coach, but you guys say Gruden is not a college coach. It's laughable. So there's things that have happened, around professional sports in college, NBA, NFL, that it's been proven that some coaches are NFL coaches and some coaches are college coaches. It doesn't take anything away from either one. And guess what? I don't think that Bill Belichick is going to do that great of a job at North Carolina. Does that mean that he's a terrible coach? I mean, obviously the jury's out if he could win without Tom Brady, and that's not a thing. But same thing goes for John Calipari. He wasn't that good in the NBA. Same thing goes for Eric Musselman. He wasn't that good in the NBA. These are college coaches. It's just all we mean by that. It doesn't always translate just because you get a good coach in one, in professional sports. It doesn't mean they're going to be a good college or a good coach in college. That's all we say when we say things like that.
He was 38-26 his first time in Oakland, 594 winning percentage. Tampa Bay, 57-55, 509 winning percentage. His second stint in LA, 22-31, 40% win percentage. In the NFL, he is on social media opening up these boxes. Of course he's going to say he'd want to come to Arkansas. If they're going to offer him $5-6 million a year, why not? There's an easy $15-20 million that I get to, and if I don't do good, they're going to pay me to leave. If he had a good career, but I mean, mind you, he hasn't coached in how many years? I can't remember the last year he coached, but because we had a discussion about this, 23 was his last year as a New Orleans Saint consultant, head coach 21. So he hasn't coached he hasn't been a head coach since 2021. You're going to have to pony up and bring somebody in that you can pay, that is, because this is a tough job. But you look at Mississippi State, 4-0 for the first time whenever. Look what Vanderbilt is doing in the SEC. There's so many schools that Arkansas is looking at. I mean, Memphis, 8-0 in the last games at home against Power 4, Power 5 opponents. Arkansas and Ole Miss are 2 each. I mean, if he can do it at Memphis with the type of players you can get at Memphis, stuck smack dab in the middle of Tennessee, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi State, Kentucky, all those schools on that same recruiting. And look what he's doing with those players. I'm just tired of Arkansas getting beat by backup quarterbacks. And we ain't even broke down the game yet. We ain't even talked about the game. I was going to watch the game, but I was on my way back from Tulsa and converting that 3rd and 8 backup quarterback. I'm just like,
they had a almost 400-pound defensive lineman
and drug him easily. So,
it's tough. And, before we've poked fun at, Kentucky for Mark Stoops, and whether it's been Vanderbilt, whether it's been Mississippi State. And, I look at, Florida. Yes, Napier's obviously needs to go. Mark Stoops needs to go. Sam Pittman needs to go. It's one of those things that you are now in the bottom 3, I feel like. And I think Arkansas is currently, I don't know, 11th or 12th in the SEC, but it's one of those that we're 6 years in. So, and we're all going to be having like our discussions of who we think, who should, who shouldn't, whatever. And, when that time comes, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when that time comes, that's plenty of content to be put out with flight tracking. And, flight tracking already started last night on plane going to Little Rock. So who knows what's going to happen with it. It's one of those things, though, that like you brought up earlier, if you're going to do it, I feel like you need to do it before teams like Florida and other teams start doing it. You've already had who are the schools last? UCLA and Virginia Tech move up there. As you start getting more coaches drop off, you're going to be put in a worse position to find your next coach, unless you're truly going to throw $10 million at somebody. I just don't think that that's going to happen. $8 to $9 million, maybe. I don't think you're going to go the $10 million range, but you're going to put yourself behind unless you're just willing to write that check.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I would find somebody you could pay 6, 7 to. Okay. Because you're going to have to, unless Bobby Petrino decides to stay on as the interim head coach, OC, you're more than likely going to have to get another defensive coordinator. You're going to have to get a good quality defensive coordinator. And if it's if it's a package deal where I'll get this head coach, but I've got this choice at defensive coordinator, you're going to need a lot. But we know now, look at the SEC, all it takes is 2 years now to turn your team around, really. Turn it around and then build off that. And look, you have Vanderbilt. Mississippi State's 4-0. Now, win the jackpot, win the raffle, and then donate that to whatever cause.
I've been curious on how that would go once Arkansas stumbled. And whether it was when I say stumble too, that's just going off of a 2-game skid, a 3-game skid. Looking at the schedule now, just go off of like the predictions that we had. We had them winning this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had them starting off 3-1.
Yep.
And then 3-2, but the way you're looking now, I don't know that you can beat Mississippi State. Depends on what team shows up for Auburn, if you're going to beat Auburn.
Yeah.
But I just look at it now that, are we about to look at a 10-game losing streak? And I hope not. I don't want that. But I'm trying to find wins now that we're in the place that we're in.
If Arkansas, and this is another thing that we have to look at, this new rule, I don't know if it's new, but this is the first time I'm hearing about it, is if a coach is fired, the players have 30 days to enter the portal.
Correct, because Nico can leave UCLA because that's been talked about.
So you got your 4th game coming up.
Mm-hmm. And what happens? Do they let him? And we'll talk about this in segment 2. Let's just throw out a hypothetical. We'll give you time to think about this hypothetical, because I'm hearing things about the Notre Dame defense. If Arkansas pulls off this upset and beats Notre Dame next week, how does that change things? Does that change for you as a fan? Where does that change things moving forward? We know the marriage has got to come to an end, but we're looking at you fire Sam Pittman now, all these players can enter the portal. What does that do for you the rest of the way? Do you wait till after the Notre Dame game? What if Notre Dame just comes in and just embarrasses Arkansas? You have a bye week to now get things in place. There's already talks about it. There has to be. So you let this week ride out. See if there's a chance that we can pull something together with this Notre Dame game. You already have the plan in place. If it goes they win, then let's talk about just riding out the season.
and making a change at the end of the year.
I think
but if you lose,
then
we got to make a change now. You got a bye week to get Bobby Petrino in his position or whoever you want to move up. But then you got to start making changes for, all right, now we're going to start going to the board to look for a new AD, head coach, if that happens. But I think that's the timeline. You have to think about, because there are a lot of people who aren't realizing about this rule. They're wanting him fired right now, but you still got to be strategic on it of, if you do it now or next week, it makes no difference to the fans, but it makes a huge difference on now you have people leaving and entering the portal because they haven't played 4 games yet.
If Arkansas was to beat Notre Dame, that would be the most Arkansas thing ever.
Yeah.
And, like we put out, hog's gonna hog.
Yep.
It's one of those things that I don't see that happening, especially, I don't know. I'm just not going to have wishful thinking. But at the same time, it would be an Arkansas thing to do to beat Notre Dame and then to lose their next game.
Tennessee all over again. Yeah.
And honestly, too, that's a game, I didn't have high hopes about this game anyway. I didn't have the highest hopes about Arkansas going to Knoxville, but Tennessee is dangerous. And I feel like Tennessee is going to hang 60 easily on Arkansas when we go to Knoxville.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen?
This isn't, that's what thing. Like, I was like, all right, this, from what I was seeing out of Memphis, nothing impressed me. I was proven dead wrong. I thought Arkansas was going to just go all over. I mean, and they had the things going. There was a lot of glimpses in this game. That's another thing with Bobby Petrino, or what happens to this offense? Why are they pulling back? A lot of things were working, and it's almost like you're a one-track mind if somebody adjusts on you. And then you have Sam. Well, they did some nice blitzes. You should have known that was coming. Just like the questions about you being 7-19 in one possession games. You should have seen that coming.
He doesn't know, though.
So, but, well, it's just frustrating because you see the people who are fans. And I know we've talked about this a couple times on here of, like, me and you talk about the game. We talk, but then I have to pull myself back, be like, Adam, how are you feeling as a fan? There's times where I have to check in on you, and that's crazy, but you see John Neighbors, you see Mike Irwin, you see former players, everybody's coming out of the woodwork saying they need to make a change. And that stings because you're not even to your first bye week. You're not even a quarter way through the season. So now what does that leave the rest of, the players? You see the dejection on their face, and the defense, they don't care. Something's going on that defense. Something's going on the inside. I understand people are saying Sori was hurt, but Dix was just atrocious on his give a damn. He was another one was getting drug around. So I don't know what's going on, but unless they're jealous because the offense is getting all this glory or whatever, I don't know. But that whole side of the ball needs to completely change by next week and then heading into the bye week, or it's going to get nasty. Yeah, you could be looking at a 2-win season.
But Sam Pittman loves Dix, so yes. Is what it is.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break, hear a word from our sponsors. Then we'll break into the what-ifs, hypotheticals of this Notre Dame game. We'll talk about some other games going around, and for those keeping track. Yeah, I was very surprised to be at this. Via FanDuel, Arkansas is only a 6.5-point underdog coming into this game. So head over to FanDuel. You want to jump on that, get in on the bets. We'll talk to you after the break. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South First Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, plus our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together.
Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community, and to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive.
And welcome back to the Hog Talk podcast. And I was just reading this last comment before we come on the air, and you know, it brings up a good point. At what point, Adam, you as a fan, the fan base as a whole, how long does this keep going on if there's not made a change made? Do we go back to those Chad Morris days where there were tickets stuck to the post outside the stadium? And I think it was funny. Pinto made a tweet that said somebody broke into his car and he had 2 tickets to the Notre Dame game and now he has 4. So, you know, we're already starting it that way, but how long is this before it's a bend don't break situation where if they're not making a decision and if the Notre Dame game goes that way where they beat Arkansas, what happens if they don't make a change?
I think if they don't make a change, I mean, it's just going to be one of those things that you're, I think, going to put yourself further behind than where you were when Chad Morris was here. And it's one of those that you've now fully, I mean, we already know that the whole mediocrity bit has been accepted when it comes to this football program. But you've now, I mean, I feel like almost alienated a vast majority of your fans. Cause you know what? It's one of those, like we've talked about with the baseball fans. Now, the Arkansas baseball fans, they are a different animal in themselves. But, you know, there's a lot of folks that they only like football. There's some folks that they only like basketball, but they watch, you know, so I think it's one of those that if you just fully give up on your football program, I think it's one of those things that it's going to be more difficult for you to come out of it in other sports when changes happen. Because it's one of those things that, you know, Dave Van Horn's going to retire at some point. John Calipari's going to retire at some point. So if you've got this dumpster fire of a football program, like I feel like you're damaging other sports by just accepting that, hey, you know what? We're just going to be trash in our main sport, which, oh yeah, by the way, you know, some of y'all's revenue sharing comes from their money, but we're just going to make sure that they don't get anything. It's a bad look. And it's one of those things that I think before that happened, before it got to that point, I feel like you'd have the board that would step in and have Hunter Yurchek relieved of his duties. I truly think that you would have them step in and have your Hunter Yurchek out before it got to that.
Yeah. And we'll see, we'll see how this press conference goes. We'll see how the Monday morning show I can't wait for their spin on this to try to squeeze out whatever positivity is left of this. And we were asked, what do you think? I mean, I think their spin's going to be like, hey, we're 2 plays away from being 4-0. That's the type of spin they're going to put on it. But it's at the point now where they don't want to hear about it. They want to see change. And if you don't want to change, that's a huge problem. You got to get somebody in here that wants to make the change. And he's proven that, hey, you're doing so well in these other sports, but it takes the football program doing well and making money, revenue to help sustain that, just like you said. And the longer like Mark Irwin said, if there's that 4th lane where, he's already got a job panned out, it's going to come to the situation. I made this yesterday. I really was like feeling like, sad at the moment of he's probably going to take another job. He gets to leave. They fire Pittman. You're trying to rebuild this program, and the fans are left with picking up the pieces. And the other programs that now are counting on this revenue of this successful football program that should be successful. It's happening in all other places. It can happen here. That's what I felt bad for, because now the fans next year, what do you have? Taylor Green's going to be gone. What do you have in the portal coming? You've got to get somebody in here that's going to hit the portal, because you're going to have to rely heavy on that thing next year, because you just lost 2 quarterbacks in your 26th class. You're backhanded and trying to go pick somebody in state that, doesn't want to come here at this moment. He's happy where he's committed at. So, and then maybe you'll change media, the select media. Oh, I said this last week. When I say media, I'm not speaking for all media, because I'm talking about the few that want to sit there on the fence and they want to spew positivity when, it's the girl on the swing with the smile on her face saying everything's fine. The fire is going on behind her, the house behind her. That's what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. The common fan anymore, I mean, we're, some of them are, the ones getting season tickets, but all we're good for is buying merch, buying concessions at games, and keeping the interactions up on social media platforms and talking about them.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's all. I mean, like we've talked about, it's already been proven that the average fan doesn't matter to our athletic director. Yes, the fans, to him, not to everybody, because the thing is, I mean, you've got to have fans in the stands. But when your AD comes, and like we've talked about numerous times, and, hey, we're going to renovate and reseat Bud Walton Arena to put in more premium seating. We're not going to add any seats to Baum Walker. We're going to add a video board. They don't have the common fans' best interest. This is all a business. This is all about the bottom line. But like we've talked about before too, guess how you get more revenue? You make sure that your top revenue sport is better.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get more revenue. Stop doing it by adding seats or adding suites. Put a better damn product on the field, and then you'll get more revenue from it.
Yep. Yeah. You're bringing in players that you're paying them X amount of dollars, and you're seeing this effort. That comes from leadership. I'm not saying these players are not good players, but they're not showing it on the field. You have an all-conference player that's still struggling to find his groove. He's out of shape. I mean, whatever you want to call it. There should be no reason a 390-pound lineman should get drugged by a backup quarterback. You look at the game, and Sutton, I was like, man, he likes to run up the middle. The D-line's going to hold him.
I thought he had Cole Kelly out there again. I mean, that's how big that dude looked. Just drag a near 400-pound defensive lineman 8 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's easy to point your finger at the fumbles. I mean, that's where we've said, or I've said multiple times, you're basically pretty much your offense has to be perfect to win every game. And it's proven yesterday in a game against Memphis, you had to play a perfect game to win that game. But where it falls on the coaching is they didn't adjust. What they said, Mike Washington had like one carry in the fourth quarter or something like that, or you weren't going with your same game plan and you couldn't punch it in from the 1 yard line or 2 yard line there at the end. Yeah, come up with a fumble, but the big with the 12 men and they called a timeout. And then
how do you come out of the timeout and have 12 men in the huddle?
It's things like that. And then you hear from the people above, well, I don't know. If you're checked out, just tell us you're checked out and let's bring in somebody else who knows what's going on. Or they're not, because in a certain way, Sam Pittman's got to get tired of this. Where's his head at? How much is he truly in this anymore? He loves the state, all that. I mean, but I'm just talking about from a human, mental state. How much of this can he take and where is he at? And this is no dig on him. I'm just saying, as a fan, where are y'all at? You want Arkansas to do so well, but everybody's fed up. And if he sees his head guy not caring about, and he's talking about, I want nine SEC games, Sam Pittman don't, you're seeing a disconnect, a little bit read between the lines there. And yes, granted, it was going to 9 games anyway, but if he's publicly saying these things and then he says your football team is not set up for a national championship, but you could be. You could have had a head start on this and you chose not to.
I guess we'll find out what's happening in the next few days. If none of us are going to, I feel like if there was going to be a decision quickly, we would have already seen one. Now, of course, the day's not over with yet, but I truly, and I think a lot of fans, we've already seen it in the comments here some, I think it's going to be, let's see how the Notre Dame goes, and then a decision can be made. It's one of those things that it's a crap feeling, and I'm tired of having it. But at the same time, at what point as fans do we, because I know there's a lot of people that have already kind of like they're checked out on the season. Rightfully so. There's some even going as far like I'm done being a Razorback fan. Rightfully so. I take that with a grain of salt because I've heard that numerous times over the years being born and raised here. It's just one of those things. At what point do you, as a fan, stop supporting this football program? We saw it with Chad Morris. So is it because we've gotten 6 years in and we haven't had a 2-10 win? Like at what point is enough enough? Because I know people keep saying enough is enough, but we still keep having near sellouts, which I know we've only had one game in Bud Walton Arena, or not Bud Walton, Razorback Stadium, the unnamed Razorback Stadium so far. But at what point is it truly? Are they truly going to lose fans?
Yeah, and this right here, still believe NIL's ruined college football. I disagree because you have more teams now. Because you think you're wanting to go to a 16-team college football playoff, and now with NIL, you're going to have who's the clear-cut favorite to win the national championship this year. The dominance is not where it used to be. And that's what makes me so that much more irritated when it comes to Arkansas. You get this thing running, you could be one of those 16 teams here and there. But you see what's going on with other teams around the country, Indiana, SMU. Who's going to make the college football playoff this year that would have never had it? Throw Arizona State in there, Look at the teams that are making it that in a 4-team playoff wouldn't have ever stood a chance. And then when they get there, they're still being competitive. I believe Arizona State got hosed in their first game. It's coming to a point to where you're getting players to go to these other schools because you can make money any school now. You're not going to have these guys sit on the sidelines at said school because that's the only place that you're going to go to make money under the table or McDonald's bags. This is a new age. And let me ask y'all this. are y'all saying that about your basketball program? Because you don't think NIL hasn't got Cal here and got all these 5-stars here. I understand how you feel because the state of your football program, but now you got to go to your basketball program. Are you saying the same thing there? Did NIL hurt college basketball? It made it better. That first weekend of college basketball was amazing. Yeah, it didn't work out for Arkansas, but when you see the grand scheme of everything that's going on, you got a lot of good quality games in the first round. And I think you're going to start doing that in college football. Once more players, now you're starting to see the full advantage of the NIL transfer portal. People can go build programs at other schools because they got boosters that want to help out their team.
I think we're salty about it because in football, we've been awful at it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, we can say this right here, and this is an argument, not an argument, conversation that Brian and I have in our group chats quite often. And, it's one of those, if Arkansas was good or better or whatever at college football, there would be less complaints about it. I get it that this is not the college football that any of us grew up on, that any of our parents grew up on, whatever, but it's been made more into a business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that ultimately I feel like it just all boils down to, yes, greediness. But for so long, you had the schools and the NCAA making all this money off all these players. And the players were just told for so long, your education should be enough. But you can't go get another job while you're here on this scholarship. And some of those players were hurting because guess what? I mean, they needed things outside of what they got in their stipends from schools. But you can't go get a job. Yeah. But you're going to have to, so I get both sides of it. This all goes back to with NIL and transfer portal and all this stuff is you let it become the Wild West immediately because you set no rules in place. And now you can't rein it in.
Yep.
Because now every time you try to put a rule in place, somebody files a lawsuit, you grant a blanket waiver, and then it gets thrown out the door because you let this happen from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly. You can always add on, but it's hard to take away. And I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, NIL as a whole, I think it's done more good than bad, but the bad is bad. But you can't tell me that the quality of some of these games aren't better. I mean, you look at Indiana, Illinois now. I mean, that ended up being a blowout. But let's look at the quality of both of those teams. Who would have watched that at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning 4 years ago or 5 years ago or 7 years ago? Now they're watching it. I mean, look at let's just throw a Vanderbilt Kentucky game or a Vanderbilt South. Yeah, right there. Perfect example. Vanderbilt South Carolina game. Who was watching that 5 years ago? Now people are. So it's one of those things that if they get a handle on it and they fine tune this NIL thing and they get the cap, but you got people thinking that rev share is going to make it all equal. You're lying to yourself. And there's just a lot of things going wrong at Arkansas that when we see clean house, again, we need people in here that can handle the edge. Where's the edge at? We hear more about the raffle than the edge or other than, and here I will say this, there's been a lot of talk about this $140 speaker. I mean, every college that is coming out with those speakers, that's how much they are. I have to give them credit there. I mean, the timing was horrible, but they didn't set that price. That was set for a lot of schools to do that. But
I guess I haven't seen it.
Yeah, the Edge come out with a 10-inch Razorback speaker and it's sold for $140. And it just the timing of it was after the Hunter check comments and stuff. And it was just.
Well, we've already all established that Arkansas Hunter check, the timing of everything that they announce is terrible. That's been a proven thing. But, it's one of those that ultimately you're damned if you do, damned if you don't at this point, unless you make a change.
Yeah. And that has to be done. And, we're doing it at a time where at least a lot more people are on our side with this, opposed to the last time we had the same discussion, and
lost.
So, lost a lot of things. Thank you, Otis. But, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. And again, don't be shocked. Please, Razorback fans, don't fire up the pitchforks yet if they don't make a call this week, because there's a lot that to think about. Yes, whether it happens now or end of the year, whatever, they know what they're doing. But if it comes now, there's a lot of things with players being able to leave portal, leave the program, and then who is going to replace him. We know how long they like to take their time on things. So just don't be too upset if it doesn't happen this week. And because there's already plane trackers out there right now. So.
And I'm just going to say this, that I don't want Hunter Yurchek leading the search.
No.
So take that for what it's worth. I do not want him to have a say, have a hand in the coaching search.
Yep.
So
I don't think he gets to put that on his resume. Just like I don't know, when I said it last week about him, Arkansas doing well, so he can just up and leave saying that he got to do this. He hasn't done hardly anything. He can't even fundraise for his own university right now. That's the only one in the state. So, he had his chance. He had his flashes. He loves to boast when he thinks he's doing something right. But now it's going to be the time where Eric Musselman needs to be driving the bus and looking at Hunter Yurchek saying, hey, you're still here. That's what needs to happen. Adam, I think you can make that happen, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but Adam, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
Nope. Come back at 8:05 for Hog HQ Live. There'll be more
8:05.
pettiness in store.
Yes. A lot more. We'll switch it up. We like to have the two different aspects of this show. But again, thank you for everybody tuning in to the Hog Talk podcast, presented to you by FanDuel. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, commenting. We love it. Do not forget to go follow, subscribe to all of our channels. It goes a long ways to help us out. And come back in an hour. Adam and boys are going to do it again, and we will catch you on Thursday.